No, I'm talking. Hello and welcome back to today. We're going to be fitting these hood lifts. So the first job is to undo this bolt here, that bolt there, put a bracket on, and the same with this side. So just going to undo it. Hopefully it should have all the brackets with it, so we'll give that a go first. Okay, so I've now fixed that one on there and that one on there, so now we're just going to fit this on there and fix the clip which is there. The same with this one here, might have to pull it down. Okay, so I've just mounted that to there and that's all in place, and now when we go down like that it'll drop down. We won't need to use the thing anymore. The other side, I believe when I undo that I've got to drill a hole here because that's not in the same place, so but I'm happy with that anyway. It's up, don't need two. Looks alright like that, so I think I'll leave it with one. Till next time, thanks for watching. Hello, well today we're going to be going down to HI8 and having new tyres done because apparently the police don't like my tyres. So we're going to have 4 new tyres fitted. I've had the car heightened a bit just to allow for that. And then I thought I'd take you on a journey to see what we're going to be having done, and then if it's any good I'll upload it. If not, don't know, we'll see what happens. Today we're going to look at fixing a leak on my sump, which is there. I've located it and I've purchased some of this epoxy putty or epoxy putty. So basically all you do is you rub these two bits together and they form like a solid sort of metal filler, and then you paste it onto your sump where it's leaking and it should stop the leak. So without further ado, I'm going to first climb underneath and wipe away any dirt around that area. Okay, so now I've cleaned around the sump, so now I'm going to rub the two mixtures together to create a putty and then start rubbing it around the area where it's rusty. Okay, so there it is now, just taking it out of its pack. So you just need to undo the film around it. Okay, so now it's out of the thing, we're going to use gloves because it gets really messy. We're going to rub it, the two, the light green and the grey, rub together, and that obviously creates the bond. As you can see there, I've started rubbing it in to areas. You just pat it in and then hopefully it'll fill up all those rusty parts of the sump and stop it leaking. Okay, so now I've filled all that area up, all over the rusty parts of the sump where it was leaking. It was only leaking a tiny bit, but it just filled it up a bit more, as you can see here. It's gone hard now. So what I'll do is I'll leave that to wait a while longer, and then I'll... Yeah? Today we're going to try and stop an oil leak that I've had from my car for probably from the best part of 6 months. I've tried a number of other options, like using a liquid metal on the sump, because that's where it seems to be coming from. So now I've bought Wine's engine stock leak for petrol and diesel engines. Basically what you do is you open up your oil cap, pour this whole contents in, and then you will hopefully it'll sink down to the sump, and then I'll switch the engine on and it should seal everything. Well, that's the plan anyway. So this is just a test to see whether or not this liquid will cease the oil leak from in the car. So without further ado, what I will do is lift the bonnet up now and then go straight into pouring, and then we can see what happens. Now, if you can see, pretty much the engine itself is pretty free of any oil. I haven't got any oil marks actually at all, and this is the thing. I just couldn't find out where the oil was coming from. If we go underneath the car, yeah, if under here you can see on the sump oil dripping quite clearly. Now in the past I've used this sort of metal weld which you place on it, repainted it, but it hasn't really done the trick because it's leaking again, and probably quite a bit. It seems to be getting worse, and I think it's the sump just rotting away really. But hopefully with this now, this stuff should stop the leak with any luck, because if not I've got to take the gearbox off to get 2 bolts for the sump. So basically if this stops it, then hey ho, we can just carry on with other mods, not worry about quite a horrendous job that could be detaching the gearbox, which I have done before to be fair, but it's not an easy job. About 4 or 5 hours doing that. So this, I'm hoping, should stop that leak. If you have any other suggestions, if this doesn't work, of how to stop a leak in a sump, then let us know in the comments. Oh, by the way, the air filter is working a treat. It really does suck in air and does increase performance, and it sounds pretty good as well when you're driving, which I like. I like the sound of a car, so even with a 1.4 it's pretty good, I would say. It's well worth having. But let's carry on with this engine stop leak and we'll see what this can do. So first thing is to undo that, and there is oil in there still, thank God. It isn't going to seize the engine up through loss of oil. But yeah, this is what you do. You just empty the can into your oil. Okay, so that's what it looks like I think it forms like a jelly, which is good, because I did think about buying some sort of rubber paint that would go on the sump as well, just to give it added protection, but we'll see what this looks like when it's poured in. Okay, here we go then. So at the moment it is quite liquidy. Okay, so as I'm not really fussed about this stuff filling holes in like gaskets and stuff like that, I want it to get down into the sump, so I'm going to let it drop down now, leave it for about 20 or 30 minutes, let it sink down through the engine and into the sump, and then I'll start the car and let it run for about 10 minutes and see if it does anything. But I think I have to leave it for 200 to 300 miles for it to fully be effective. But obviously, you know, it's going to take a week, but what I'll do is I'll come back and let you know if the leak has stopped.